In this episode, we're talking about understanding your money story on your journey towards financial freedom. Listen as my guest, Magdala Adeleke, shares what this has looked like on her journey and how you can begin the process of unpacking your own money story. Hello, and welcome to the Beautiful Reflections podcast. I'm your host, Katherine Johnson, a certified professional coach, mentor, writer, and speaker. I help ambitious career women gain the clarity, courage, and confidence to pursue their greater purpose and vision so that they can have fulfillment and thrive purposefully in their careers and life. I believe there is beauty in our voices, beauty in our stories, and beauty in our journeys. There is power in community, connection, and deep, meaningful conversation, which is why me and my guests are here to share our stories, experiences, lessons, and learnings to inspire you as you walk the path and step into your next level. We go deep, sharing beautiful reflections or the beauty that life has offered for us to see on our journeys in order to grow and evolve. It is my mission to empower you to believe in your power, to embrace your own uniqueness, and to be the best version of you. I want to see you move forward confidently, pursuing the bigger goals and dreams that you truly desire. Now on to the episode for today. Money, 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 money. Yes, we're talking about it. It's the thing that we all want. It's the thing that we all need. It's the thing that's the undercurrent for many things in our world. And it's the thing that regardless if we recognize it or not, we all have a story about. We have feelings about money, we have beliefs about money, and consequently, we have behaviors and patterns when it comes to money. As we think about what we want from our finances, we have to have a conversation about our money story and how we relate to money. Then we can begin to understand if our money story is hindering us or supporting us on our journey towards the financial freedom and peace that we seek. So let's talk about it. Today, I have the perfect guest, Magdala Adeleke, to help us understand our money story and the role that it plays. Magdala is a certified financial therapist and owner of Financial TheraPeace, a holistic financial coaching company. She's a former banker and financial management professional with an educational background in psychology. Magdala now incorporates therapeutic tools into her financial planning to help her clients process their complex emotions around money and uncover the root of their financial behaviors in order to transform their relationship with money and build sustainable wealth for generations. Her mission is to empower women and couples to achieve a positive relationship with money, achieve financial freedom, and have purposeful lives. Take a listen. Hello, Magdala. Welcome to the Beautiful Reflections podcast.
Hi, Katherine. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
I am super excited to have you here because I have to admit that I'm very intrigued by the work that you do. Financial TheraPeace, specifically because I think when most people think about finances and money, they don't think about the word peace along with that. So that was very intriguing to me when we met and we got to know each other. And also because of the fact that in your work, you combine this therapy component with the finances and, which some of the things that we all hear about like budgeting and planning and things like that, but you also take it a bit deeper. And I know you're a big personal growth person. I'm a big personal growth person. So I love the fact that you actually take it a bit deeper to help women understand what's at the root of their financial behaviors, their beliefs, so that they can ultimately have this financial freedom and the abundance and the peace that a lot of us really desire. So I'm happy to have this conversation with you today about understanding your money story on your journey towards financial freedom. And I want to dig in and learn about you and your story and what led you to this work and how you're supporting women on their journeys to financial freedom. So let's jump right in. So how did you get to money and therapy?
It's a long story. It's a looping story. It started since I was in high school, or maybe obviously before that. But in high school, I took a psychology class that I fell in love with, and I decided that I wanted to study psychology because I was intrigued by how the mind works and how it influences our lives, our behaviors. And I also took an accounting class that I loved. I was naturally good at it. So I went to school. I originally wanted to study psychology, but I needed to do something practical because that's what my family told me. I needed to do something that would allow me to make money right out of college because I didn't have the support system. I needed to succeed on my own financially, and I needed to support other people as well. And so I studied psychology and finance because there were two things that I liked. And I realized I didn't have to pick one or the other. I found a way to finish both majors in 4 years. So that's how I ended up studying finance and psychology. However, my work led me to finance because it was easier, right? I got internships and I had opportunities there, and I worked in banking. Eventually, I did financial management in the nonprofit sector. So finance was my career path. However, I always had a love for psychology and for personal growth. I was continuously reading up on it. It wasn't until 2020 when I went through my own personal journey with therapy and with inner work to improve myself and to learn about my past and my traumas and how those were influencing my behaviors. And from that, I fell into financial therapy. So it was 20 years later, I realized, wait a second, I could combine finance and therapy. I can look at money from a therapeutic and psychological perspective because our behavior with money is dependent on our past experiences, the things that we saw growing up, the messages that we received around money, just like, the way that we behave in other areas in our lives. And I wanted to unpack that a little bit because I realized most people want to do better. They have the willpower, they have the intelligence, they have the willingness, but yet they're having a hard time to make sustainable changes. And they don't understand why. They don't know why they could make progress for a couple of months and yet revert back to their old behaviors. And I realize it's because they don't know what's driving those behaviors, right? We're all operating with this narrative or this money story that's happening like on a subconscious level, and we're not even aware of it. So if I could help people understand what's going on underneath and we could process that, unpack it, then we could break free from those barriers and make better financial decisions and improve our lives financially and, in general.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So what was going on for you? Like, what was going on for you? Like, what did you see in your past or in your childhood that even led you to a place where you realized that you wanted to dig a little deeper and pursue therapy?
Oh, lots. I came from Haiti and life was good there. But I thought America is the goal, right? If you're from a developing country, everyone wants to make it to America because this is the country where all dreams are possible. However, when we moved to America, I realized, life was rough here compared to what we had in Haiti. Yes, there are opportunities in America, but we were doing well financially in Haiti. My grandfather was a business owner. He was supporting the family, and my parents were actually in the U.S. and while I was still in Haiti, and they were sending money to Haiti to support me. So I was doing okay. But then when I moved to America, I realized that they were struggling, right? Like my mother was working, making less than minimum wage as an immigrant, and she was working multiple jobs just to support us. So that was a big difference for me. But I also realized that everyone around me was struggling financially, and they were, borrowing from each other, asking for help. And I made the decision that I wanted to be financially independent. I didn't want to depend on my mother because she had enough on her plate. And I didn't want to depend on anyone else either. So from a very young age, as soon as I turned 14, I could get my work permit. I started working because I wanted to contribute to my own finances and to do the things that I wanted to do for myself and not have to depend on my mother. And from that moment on, I just continued on that journey. I was very mindful with my money, and I'm not sure where that came from, to be honest, because I wasn't taught anything about money. I have a logical brain. I exercise common sense in everything that I do. So I applied that to money. So unbeknownst to myself, I became good with money without knowing exactly what I was doing. And, I just crafted the life that I wanted. When I was in my teens and early 20s, it seems like I was in flow with abundance. Like I wanted something, I got it, right? Things just fell into place for me. And that was kind of the beginning of my financial journey. However, later I realized coming from, poverty and seeing that you can have money one day and not have it the next, I guess I developed a scarcity mindset. And I started hoarding. I had money. I was scared to spend it because I didn't want to be in poverty. I didn't know what the future would hold. So I wanted to make sure that I always had a safety net. And I didn't have peace with the money. And that led me to really realized that I need to unpack that so I can, have money and have peace with it. And I want all of us to have financial peace. And it's not about the amount, it's knowing that you're in control of your finances. And it's knowing that you have a plan and knowing that you can create more money if you need to. So I started working on that process. Therapy helped me realize where all of that anxiety and uncertainty that I felt in my life was coming from. And I also applied that to my anxiety around money.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so deep. I love how you mentioned that, like seeing poverty around you and that experience, was definitely impactful in shaping your viewpoint. And I think that many people can relate with that, like, seeing something when you're growing up. Like, for example, for me, like when I was growing up, I saw my mom working very, very hard to provide for us alone and just, doing what she had to do to provide for myself and my siblings. So like you, we make these decisions like, I don't want to be like that. I want to have something differently. And so we start along that journey, just like you. I started working when I was 14. But then like we start to notice like our behaviors and still how we're even relating to money. But for you, the breakthrough was like coming to the awareness and gaining the clarity of the linkage between those childhood experiences and those childhood stories and how that was really forming your viewpoint or your story on money. So what do you think for, many people, like, what do you think are some of those stories that, we may pick up, maybe unconsciously and start to carry those things into our adult life? And how does it show up in our patterns and our behaviors with money?
There's so many stories that we could pick up, right? Like the common one is money is the root of all evil, or there's never enough money. Money doesn't grow on trees. It could be, money is for those people like us, don't live that way. Businessmen, they're, they take advantage of the poor. That's why they have money. There's so many different messages that we hear or we even see, even if you're watching movies sometimes, like there are a lot of stories that we could pick up from those. Or the rich person may be the one that's, taking advantage of others. That's mean. That's evil. The Scrooge. The poor person could be like the noble one. They're the ones that are serving others. So all these scripts can influence our behaviors in so many ways. Sometimes we're like, okay, well, I'm going to make a lot of money because I don't want to struggle like my parents did. And other individuals, they may struggle just like their parents. Well, this is what my parents did. They worked really hard for money and you have to work all the time for money. So I need to have 3 jobs, even though you're making good money with 1 job where you don't need 3 jobs. You think money equates to working hard. Other people feel like, well, I shouldn't have to work hard for money. Like that's just not what you do because, maybe you were taken care of when you were young. So you decide that, okay, I'm not going to really work hard. I shouldn't have to. So, and sometimes you do the opposite of what you see growing up, right? Your parents not have a lot of money. And so you struggle so much. And when you do make money, then you just start spending. It's like, oh, well, when I was growing up, I couldn't do this. So now that I have money, I'm going to do all the things that I couldn't do growing up. Whereas in my case, I saw how much we struggled. And I was like, okay, in order for me to not struggle, I'm just not going to spend. Right? I'm just going to save my money so I'm never in a position to struggle. So there's so many ways that those scripts that we learn as children can manifest in our adult lives and the decisions that we make around money.
Absolutely. And I think that's so good how you just really illustrate like the linkage of the story and what we saw and then linking it to the behaviors. And I think that many people can identify that. I know that when I think about my linkage, I think we talked about this before, how, I was the one that said, okay, I'm going to start working, making my own money. And I don't want to struggle like the way that my mom struggled, but I carried different behaviors into adulthood. Like I remember when I was 17 or was it 18, I got approved for a credit card for $10,000. And I was in the military at this time and I clearly didn't need this credit card. And I remember talking to my dad about it and I was like, Dad, I'm going to get this credit card for emergency purposes. I'm only going to use it for if something comes up. He's like, you don't need the credit card. He was like, you're going to use it. You're going to see it and you're going to want to use it. So don't get it. And I still got it anyways. Long story short, I ended up, maxing out that credit card because of my beliefs was that, I want something, I'm going to get it, right? I didn't have that ability when I was growing up. A lot of times it was like, oh, you can't have that because it costs too much or we can't afford it. Never being able to pick out things because I liked it, but more so picking out things because of what the budget would allow. My behaviors was, I'm going to get it. I want it. I'm going to get it. I want it. And I saw how that led to my decision making and put me in certain situations, even financially. So I'm curious about, like, I know you mentioned like the hoarding, like you went the opposite way. You're like, I'm just going to keep all the money I can. I'm not going to spend it to adjust for what you had saw. So what was the turning point? Like, what was, now that you put it all together, you linked it together and you realized that, okay, this is my behavior. You're in therapy. Like, what was the turning point that allowed to put it all together and take the next step towards, shifting that?
Right. It was just realizing it because I didn't know that I was doing that. That's the thing. We don't realize what we're doing. We just think we're being ourselves. This is who I am. And I was doing well financially and I enjoyed my life too, but I was very mindful of how I spent my money. And so I thought I had a healthy relationship with money because of, the outward success, but I felt really unsettled on the inside and I didn't even know why. That's the thing. And until I went to therapy, which was not even relating to money at all, I realized that my anxiety came from a lack of feeling secure and a lack of enoughness. And when I stumbled upon financial therapy, then I realized, okay, that's what I have. That's what I'm feeling. That's where this is stemming from. My anxiety around money comes from not having enough, seeing how it was taken away from me. When I had in Haiti and didn't have in the US, and seeing all of the poverty around me and the uncertainty around me and feeling responsible too. I felt responsible for my family because I was the one who was in the position to help others. So it's almost like I self-sacrificed. In a way, I didn't spend on myself because I wanted to have money to save other people when they needed help. And I realized, okay, I'm enough. I should enjoy the fruits of my labor. And there is plenty, right? Like there's abundance in the world. I experienced that in my teens and my early 20s when things were just kind of like flowing to me. And I had to go back to that as evidence that God provides, right? Like I do the best that I can. I'm mindful. I'm a good steward with what I have. However, God is still in control and he's provided. And I started looking at evidence on how he's done that for me in the past. And that helped me to release some of that control and to enjoy myself more and to do things just because I'm like, okay, I can do it because I want it. Oh, I'm worth it. I can do that. And you can create more money. So if things go south, then you can recreate it. And you've survived a lot of difficulties before, then you could survive it again. And that really helped me to kind of process a lot of that fear and anxiety.
Yeah, that's so good. I love that. It sounds like, something I talk about in one of my pillar for connecting to truth. The first pillar of my framework is really connecting back to that truth, which you realized that you had to come back to, and realizing that, like God was your source. And coming back to that and then using like your past as evidence of what's truly possible for you in your life. Looking at the things that had, I'm guessing the things that had worked out, the things in which have been provided to you and the things that have been given to you and reconnecting with that so you could see that, the abundance and everything that you desired was truly possible for you. You had it before, and that it was a lot of just for you, maybe just releasing the control and trying to control it and exert your effort on it and just surrendering that so that you can really continue to be in that space of flow and you could receive the abundance that you desired.
Mm-hmm.
That's so good. So what helped with that? Were there any particular practices that maybe you started to do, like any rituals or any like things that you really started to tap into to help you begin to shift, to maybe reframe or to really think differently now that you had this awareness and you were clear about all of this? Like, what were those practical things that you started to do and have as part of your life processes or, any routines or anything that you were doing?
I think the first part was the reflection, thinking about my life and what I've accomplished, right? As I was thinking about our conversation, I realized how a lot of my desires came true and I didn't even realize that. For instance, when I was in college, I really wanted to go study abroad and I didn't have the money to do it. And I even think my friend was like, oh, come, I'll help you out. I was like, no, like I want to enjoy myself and I don't want to worry about money. I don't want to like say no to opportunities because I just knew I couldn't afford them. Right. And so I didn't have that opportunity, but I thought about it. A few years later, I did end up studying abroad. It wasn't while I was in college, but it was for grad school. It still happened. And I had no idea like this would be my path, right? Like the country that I wanted to travel to in college, I ended up in that country, a couple of years ago, and I did it, a fabulous way, right? It was a luxurious trip as opposed to if I did it in college, I would have been, scraping by trying to, figure out, can I eat this like $2 meal? And I was like, wait, I still got at what I wanted, but in a different way, not, in the way that I thought I would, that I wanted at the time, but somehow it still happened. So I started looking at all these evidence, as we talked about, of how things happen. So that reflection really helped me to process my emotions. And the other part was working on reprogramming my brain. I tell my clients that, okay, you have a money story that may not have served you before. And now you know how you develop that story. You can reprogram your brain, right? You could reprogram your life in a way that's more constructive. So how do I want to feel? I want to feel peace. I want to feel abundance. And what can I do about that? So I got into mindfulness, right? Like meditation. I started reading up on quantum physics, and all of those things really helped me to see what else is out there, that my mind is so powerful. I can create my own reality, and I believe in God. So he's my source of everything. So all of that, accepting that truth, really helped me to let go. To be honest, I'm still a work in progress. Mm-hmm. It's a journey to unpack a lifetime of conditioning. So I work on that, and I go back. Sometimes I feel fearful. When the uncertainty comes my way, then I start worrying about the future. But now I have more tools to apply to help me deal with those feelings.
Yes, for sure. We're all a work in progress, but I think that, I appreciate the openness and transparency, because it's never about perfection, right? It's never about perfection. It's always about progress. And now, having studied all of these different practices and things like that, you have tools, and you also have the awareness, like you understand the money story, you understand the past experiences, you understand all those things because you spent the time doing the reflection and putting all the pieces together. So now with that understanding, in days where you might feel like you're slipping back or a little bit like that, you have the tools that will support you to continue to move towards what you're ultimately working towards. And I love how you said that, things always work out. And it's often not in the way that we expected to work out, and often not in the way that we planned for it to work out. But when we do that reflection, we can see the past, we can see the evidence, and we can see what has been true. And I love that you mentioned that truth, this, really coming back to the truth of what was really true for you, and using these practices to support you and beginning the work, doing the deep work of unpacking it and learning how to reframe it and creating the story that you want for yourself. So thinking about that, thinking about this whole topic of your money story, so what's your new money story? Like, what are you telling yourself now as the financial therapist? And as you look to step into your next story, what's your new money story that you're using to support you on this journey?
My new money story is to create a life where there's abundance, right? There's enough money in the world for everyone, for me and those around me. And I can create as much money as I want, and money is good. It's not bad. In society, we often think that to want money is to be greedy, but actually having money gives us freedom and the opportunity to help as many people as we can, and the flexibility to improve our lives and those around us. So it is good. I can create as much as I want, and that's okay. I can feel in control of my finances. I can accept that abundance, and I can just feel free and peaceful with it because there is enough. And I can create whatever story that I want as I journey on in my life, because depending on the stage of my life, my money story should be changing and improving with me. And I just want to continue to grow my mindset as I get older and as my situation changes in life.
Yeah. I really love your story because, one, I love it that you took something that you're always interested in. You're always interested in money, always interested in the psychology, and you put this together into the work that you're doing today. But also I like your story because I think that oftentimes the areas where we face the biggest challenges or we experience the most strife offer lessons for us to see. That's the whole premise of the podcast, like really looking for the lessons, the opportunities, and the learning that's going to really help you see what the beautiful reflection was. So I love this part of your story because you were able to see how all of this fit together from childhood into the work that you're doing, into the purpose, and now into the work that you've decided to do to help and support others on their journeys to financial freedom and having the financial peace and abundance. So I really love your story.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the work that you do. So in supporting your clients, you mentioned like you're really focused on really getting to the root, really focused on really getting to the root of the behaviors, the root of the beliefs and things like that. But tell us a little bit about like what it looks like typically to work with you in supporting your clients.
Yes, of course. I help my clients to get comfortable first with addressing their money issues. The biggest barrier to dealing with our finances is that fear, right? That fear of just seeing where we are financially keeps people from even taking that first step. So the first order of business is to let go of that fear and to get comfortable enough to take that first step and to see where you stand financially. Before we can take the next steps and, like building a financial plan, we want to understand how you even got here. We want to understand your money story, your past experiences, and the messaging that you received around money and how that is influencing your current behaviors. And we unpack all of that to really transform your relationship with money. Because if we don't understand why we do the things that we do, it's really hard to change that. Right? We'll just continue to do the same things over and over again. So we really want to get to that place of awareness. And once you're aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it, then it's easier to make the right changes. So once we're at this place, then we can work on forgiveness. We feel so many emotions when it comes to money. We have resentment, anger, fear, anxiety, shame, guilt, all of that, right? So we want to heal from all of these emotions so that you could let go of all those baggages that could be holding you back. So once we work on that step, we can start thinking about what you truly want in your life. Right? Not what society tells you it's important, but what is true to you? What are your true values? What are your true desires? What would really make you happy? And we want to uncover those true ideas for yourself. And from there, we can create a financial plan. Like we could look at your budget. We could, look at your retirement. We could talk about investment opportunities. We could talk about all these practical things. But first, we need to unpack the emotions, understand your money story, and once we do that, then we could actually make sustainable change and find peace. And the peace part comes from just taking control. Really, it's not the destination, right? The peace is understanding what you're doing. Hey, this is my financial situation. I understand who I am now. I understand why I behave the way that I do. Now I'm in control and I can create the money story and I could create the life that I want and I'm working towards it. You feel at peace at that moment, although you may not be where you want to be yet.
Yeah, that's so good. I love it. I love your process. I love how you really start with the important work first, the mindset work and understanding how it all fits together. I think so many people like naturally we want to jump to like, okay, help me save some money, help me make some great investments, help me, plan for my future. And you're right. If you never address the other things, you never address what's at the core of your behaviors, then you can never really shift those things and change those things to ultimately create the lasting transformation that all of us is seeking with our finances. And we all want it. Like we all want that peace that you talk about. We all want the abundance and we all want that sense of freedom when it comes to our money. And I love the work because I feel like the money story is the piece. It's the missing component, just like I say with the work that I do with my clients, like understanding what's underneath all of it, what's at the root, really peeling back the layers, getting to what's beneath the surface, because that's where all the gold is. Like that's the stuff that's really going to cause the true transformation in your life. It's really going to help you see the change that you desire. And, you're talking about it with money, which is so important, like it's everything, right? And, I'm talking about it with like, our personal selves and helping us step into our next level. So I really love your process and really love that you're so focused on the root of it and understanding that. And then get into the practical things, which I'm sure you may talk to some people who say, well, I just want you to help me understand how to create a good investment portfolio, or I just want you to help me with my retirement planning and things like that. I'm sure you talk to people who initially want to really focus on those things first.
Yeah. And I asked them, what have you tried before? And they're like, well, I spoke to a financial advisor, or I tried a budget, but it didn't work. And I'm like, exactly. Because those people exist. They're traditional financial advisors, financial coaches that could help you with those practical things, but it doesn't stick. That's the problem. And I realized that was the missing piece because I worked in banking before. I had my clients helping them with their portfolio, but that wasn't enough. And I wanted to help people change their behaviors around money, and I wanted it to be lasting. In order for it to last, we need to understand ourselves better. We need to understand what is driving our behaviors because it's happening subconsciously, right? Like we're not even aware of it at all. That's the thing. Even I wasn't aware of what was going on. I just was like, oh, this is the way that I am. But it's really to unpack that. And this is where we get the true changes, and the behaviors will be different. Your emotions will be different as well. Right? When you'll just start feeling differently about money, you'll start relating to it differently. And that is why I focus on your relationship with money instead of just, the practical part, because anyone could do the practical part. I want to add that oftentimes people think money is about the numbers. Money is about the income, but it's not, right? That's one part of it, but not the main part. The main part is that money is psychological and emotional, and that is what drives our decisions and behaviors, not the practical part.
Absolutely. I love that. And I love that you mentioned that sometimes you just don't know. Sometimes you just don't know like what's really going on. And, your work is focused on helping them really understand and to really see what all may going on. And I remember you mentioned earlier that, you had feelings of, just feeling unsettled with money. And I can remember I had feelings of although I said that I didn't want to be in this position of struggling to make ends meet, when I found myself because of the decisions I had made in a lot of debt, the feelings that I had was, oh my gosh, I'm in the same situation. Now I'm struggling. Now I'm trying to make ends meet. And, I have these debt collectors calling and so the feeling that I had was, oh my gosh, I'm doing something wrong. What's going on? And that led me to seek and to really want to understand, how all of this was contributing, why I was making the decisions I was making, and understand what was really at the root of it. So, I really love how you're really going really deep with the work and going beyond the practical things. I think that's very important. So what do you want women to know? What do you want women to know and believe, at their core, from the work that you do or from working with you, or just, your message that you want to be out there in the world as it relates to financial freedom?
My main message to women is to not believe what society has told you that you're not good with money. We get the messaging as women that, men are better, at math, although money's not math. Men are better with money than you are. We're taught, it's better to save or stop spending so much, or, things to stop doing, as opposed to what we should be doing, right? So I want women to know that you're just as good as money than anyone else. You can create your own financial future. You are in charge of your finances, and that you can recreate your money story. Whatever messages that you were told about money, it's not necessarily true, and you could create a new, true, and bold money story. You can be wealthy and still be a mom and still be all those other things. You don't have to choose one or the other. You don't have to choose, if I want to be successful, then this is my one path, right? You can find a way to achieve your goals, whatever is important to you. Financial freedom, be home with the kids, make it to soccer practice, whatever, right? Decide what's important to you, but you don't have to sacrifice your financial independence and wealth for, motherhood or, wife or whatever it is, because I see it around me, even from my personal experience, that it's easy to forego one for the other. And I want us to be mindful of the decisions that we're making and think long term how these decisions will impact our financial independence, our ability to make decisions that are best for us in the future, and to think about it holistically as we make decisions today. So always be mindful of your finances and the actions that you're taking, because they all have consequences in the future. Yes, we cannot control the future. We don't know what it holds, but at least start thinking about the different perspectives and always remain in control of your finances. No one else is responsible for your financial future. So do the work. If you need to hire someone to help you out, do it. Think about your decisions and make sure that you're in control of your money.
So powerful. I love that. We really do get to create a new narrative. We can create a new money story. And like what you're mentioning is that we do have more options, more choices, and more control than we realize. It's really all in the perspective that we're choosing to see, right? The viewpoint that we're choosing to believe. I love that. And that's such a powerful, powerful message that you have there for women. So when you think about your whole journey, like everything that has led you to this moment right here, this moment in time, what do you think has been the beautiful reflection? Like, what was life trying to get you to see or open your eyes to assist you and help you on your journey?
That's a very good question. I would say what I'm realizing is that things do work out at the end. I may not see it now because I'm in a period of uncertainty right now in transition, and I'm worried, of course. However, if I look at the past and I see how things have worked out, I'm learning to trust that things will work out in the future. When I look at my life of 5 years from now, then I'll understand what was happening and I'll see how things worked out for the good for me, and I'm trusting in that process. So I am telling myself this as I'm going through my period right now, that things will be okay. I just have to trust it. I will focus on what I can control as much as I can. I will try to make the best decisions that I can right now and trust that things will work out at the end. So that's my reflection in life, to just surrender and accept what it is and control what I can.
So beautiful. So beautiful. I love that. Trusting the process and really using your life as the blueprint, using your life as the evidence, all of the evidence that you need. And like you said, of course, the worry will be there. There's so much uncertainty around that. But when you can look at your life and use that as the blueprint for everything that's transpired already, all of the lessons, all of the challenges, all of the obstacles, and you can see that you're here, that you were able to overcome those things, and that there was something in those lessons for you to see and something for you to take away to bring you to this exact moment. That's the goal. That's the beauty, that life offers us. I love that where you are right now, life is offering you an opportunity to really trust, to continue to dig deeper on, a deeper level of trusting yourself, trusting what's possible, trusting your journey. And then ultimately faith, faith that things always work out. They will work out, even when it looks a little crazy based on what we see in front of us, right? So yeah, I love that. So how can women get in touch with you? What are you doing now? What are you offering? Tell us about any programs that you may have and how women can connect with you.
Yes, of course. They could check me out on my website, www.financialtherapeace.com. And I'm also on Instagram under Financial TheraPeace. On my website, I have a free guide to financial freedom that they could download just to see the steps that they can take to start managing their money better. And I offer one-on-one coaching sessions to help clients uncover their relationship with money, and everything that we talked about today. I could help guide them through that journey and be their accountability partner. So I offer a consultation where they could just fill out a questionnaire and book a call with me so we could discuss their financial concerns and see if we could work together to help them achieve their goals. I also offer coaching for couples, right? Because money is one of the biggest issues that couples deal with in their relationship. So I mainly work a lot with couples who are struggling, who've been through therapy and who've done all the work before, but somehow it didn't help improve their relationship, because at the core of it, the problem is money. And we start unpacking those, and people get a lot of results from our work together. I'm also offering premarital financial counseling because I want to help us avoid these issues later in marriages. So if we could unpack that before we get married or at the very beginning of our relationship, then that will save us a lot of heartache and pain later. So I offer that as well. And I do workshops and presentation for organizations. So those are the different ways that I can work with potential clients.
Oh man, yeah, that's good stuff, man. So necessary, so important, and so needed, all of it. So I will be sure to include those links in the show notes, but guys, go ahead and check her out. Go download her free guide that's going to get you started on your journey of understanding your money story and your journey towards the financial freedom that you ultimately desire. And I want to give you an opportunity. Do you have any final words, any final thoughts that you'd like to share? Any last reflections for us?
Sure. I just want to say that financial freedom is possible for all of us. And it's not necessarily about how much money you make. It's about how you manage your money and your mindset. You can start off making $50,000 a year and be in a better financial position than someone who's making $250,000. So don't let those numbers fool you to think that it's just about the income. It's about how you manage it. And it's also about the mindset. If you're, have an abundance mindset and you have peace around your money, you could be happier making less money than more money. And also having the right mindset could put you in a position to create wealth in a way that if you just feel lack, despite how much your income is, may hold you back. So just don't worry too much about the numbers and worry about your mindset and control what you can. You can manage whatever you have as well as possible, and you can create the life that you want. You just need to take the steps that are required.
Yes. So good. Yeah. We always have to take that initial step and do the work, do the work that may sometimes seem daunting and challenging, but there's so much beauty on the other side. You are a testament to that. I am a testament to that. We're still works in progress, but we can see the beauty of the work and being willing to really dig deeper and really uncover those things that may still be hindering us or may still be in a way, even if we're not able to pinpoint or we don't have the words to really say what exactly it is. The next step is sometimes when we can't figure those things out ourselves to go and to seek the help of professionals like yourself who have been trained and who are qualified to help you go a bit deeper and to ultimately have what you truly desire. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being here today and sharing your wisdom with us, sharing your knowledge, your experience, your journey. It has been so wonderful talking to you and learning more about you and the work that you do.
Thank you so much for having me, Catherine. I really enjoyed this conversation and being vulnerable with your audience. I'm a very private person, so this was out of my comfort zone, but I'm happy to share the story to help as many women as possible to get financially empowered. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. That was so good. Such a powerful conversation helping us to understand the roots of our money story. I hope that Magdala has you thinking about your own money story, your childhood and upbringing, the messages and conditioning that you received, how that shaped your perspective, and how it's likely contributing to your current finances. I hope that you see the value in digging a bit deeper to understand your beliefs, views, and emotions around money. It truly is the key to unlocking financial freedom and peace on your journey. Be sure to check the links in the show notes to download the free 6-step guide to transform your relationship with money and connect further with Magdala. Now, if you know that your math isn't mathing, you never spent time unpacking your money story, or your finances are not working for you, then it may be time to take the next step and invest in support. Reach out to Magdala to schedule a consultation and step into the peaceful and empowered financial life that you desire and that's available to you. Thank you for listening to the Beautiful Reflections podcast. Are you ready for more? We're now hosting a monthly live stream series, Beautiful Conversations, where we take these reflections deeper to help you step into your next level. Click the link in the show notes and sign up to join the conversation. If you're enjoying the podcast, please take a minute and leave us a rating and a review and share the podcast with someone you know. I'd love to hear from you. Use the links in the show notes to connect with me on Instagram and LinkedIn. Send me an email, DM, or use the hashtag Beautiful Reflections Podcast on Instagram and share the beautiful reflection that life is offering you on your journey. Until next time.